Welcome to another episode of the award-winning podcast, Not Too Deep. I'm your host, Grace Helbig. We have one of the Fab Five with us today. It's Bobby Berk. I'm thrilled. He was so cool and wonderful and gives us direct and aggressive pointers on what not to put in your house and how to decorate. And his whole life story is just so fascinating. And he's really cool and he dresses really well and he smelled amazing. I know you won't be able to hear that or see it, but just trust that that was there in the room the whole time. I'm not going to keep rambling. Enjoy this episode of Not Too Deep with Bobby Berk.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is sponsored by the podcast Terrible Thanks for Asking. In each episode, host Nora McKerney talks to regular people about their experiences with, you guessed it, terrible things. The Atlantic has named Terrible Thanks for Asking one of the best podcasts of 2018, and the New York Times calls it a gift to listen. You can find Terrible Thanks for Asking wherever you listen to podcasts.
Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
I always sound so much deeper, I feel, on one of these mics.
Yeah, I feel like I sound like I have more gravitas than I actually do.
Hey.
I feel like Frasier.
Yo, baby, I hear the music coming.
Tossed salad and scrambled eggs.
Remember the William Macon episode in season 2 where he was like, his fashion icon is Frasier Crane? And we were like,
oh, yeah.
We were like, no, that's not a fashion icon. Like
the fashion icon of Frasier Crane don't go in the same sentence.
Icon, maybe you're, but not fashion.
No. Even I think his suits were purposely ill-fitting on the show.
It was also the 90s. I think suits were just
right when pleated
ill-fitting.
Pants weren't ironic, when they were genuine, authentic. Are they?
They're back.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, Tan's wearing them. I mean, if Tan's wearing them, they're back.
I feel like he's doing a long con, a big prank on everyone.
Oh,
because
you have no idea.
Pleated pants just look like two fupas on your upper thighs, and I can't get on board with them.
Remember the show Mr. Cooper?
Hanging with Mr. Cooper?
Cooper.
I hung with him.
Every time somebody says fupa, that gets in my head. Fupa, gonna tear the house down. Never fails. Every time someone says fupa.
You have a great singing voice.
Thank you.
I think we've begun. I think that's the absolute correct way to begin with Bobby Berk here on Not Too Deep. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You guys travel like crazy. I'm obsessed with all of you. I follow you on the gram. I follow you on all the social media platforms.
Except the Facebook, because, I mean, who really
Are you on
uses
Facebook?
I am, but every time I look at it, I'm like, why haven't I just deleted this yet?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't deleted my profile, but I don't know that I've actually dusted it off in years.
I kind of feel, though, since Facebook owns Instagram, that if we do that, it's kind of like slapping them in the face. And
that they're going to know?
Yeah, they know.
True. What's your favorite social media platform? What do you go to when you open your phone?
Insta.
Yeah. I mean, but you're a visual person. I think aesthetics kind of lend themselves, obviously, to Instagram.
Yeah, that's where we all just fall into a deep Instagram hole in our trailer when we're in between scenes trying to ignore each other.
Really?
Well, you have to. We're with each other all day long.
I know. Well, you guys
and so we have to kind of zone out and just sometimes forget each other's there.
Yeah. No, I travel with my friends and work with my friends a lot. And I know, did any of you know each other before this?
Nope.
Not at all.
None of us did.
So yeah, that's a quick adaptation to now we've gone from 0 hours spent together to 24 hours spent together. What are our unspoken rules socially with each other? And do you guys kind of understand each other's triggers now of I'm going to give him space right now?
Well, and also, if you think about how much time you spend with your best friend.
Yeah.
Maybe a few hours a week. Mm-hmm. At the most, maybe 8 hours a week.
Sure.
If you're really close. We spend 8 to 10 hours a day. For 2 years.
That's
nuts.
We
literally spent more time with each other than probably lifelong best friends have their entire lives.
That's so nuts.
So yeah, we know how to push each other's buttons really well.
But also, it's kind of nice. I feel like the real level of friendship comes when you know how to exist in silence with each other.
Yes.
Where you don't have to fill space and you can understand that none of us need to interact right now. We can coexist, but we don't need to try and come up with games to play to fill the time.
Sometimes I think the silence makes Jonathan nervous, though, because he definitely feels the need to fill it more than others.
Sure.
Tan is just give me quiet. And Johnny's like, Teddy.
Yeah, have you guys come up with any sort of like your own personal games or like time passers?
Huh.
Or is it just kind of the norm?
It's the norm, yeah.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't think there's any little games we play except just, life.
Just being alive and living and thriving.
These foolish things.
You have a very amazing singing voice.
Thank you.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oddly, I don't like karaoke.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's because ultimately my dream was to always be a singer.
Really?
And so karaoke is triggering to me now.
It's like, that just reminds me of a dream lost.
Exactly.
At sea.
It just reminds me that I'm too old to try out for American Idol.
You can.
Oh, did
my
they
God,
change
you
the
can.
age?
I didn't even know that there was an age limit. Is it like becoming the president? Oh, it's the max age? Really?
Yeah.
That seems a little
Yeah.
limiting. I would love to see a 6-year-old get up there and just fucking wail.
Well, that's what America's Got Talent is for.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So, got it.
America's Got
Thank
Talent.
you.
Anyone can get up there.
Thank you for schooling me on this.
I also don't, although I don't watch American Idol either.
Really? Okay, what's your
It's
go-to?
triggering. It's true.
This is called Bobby's
it is
Triggers.
literally true. Ever since American Idol came out, I mean, God, in the late 90s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've
Kelly
n-
Clarkson.
I don't think I've
Ruben.
ever seen more than like maybe 2 minutes of an episode.
Really?
Just because I'm like, I want to be on it.
I mean, America's Got Talent. You can do it. I think there's still time. I think it can happen. Okay, I'm super curious. I'm sure you talked about this a million times. But what was the audition process like for you on Queer Eye?
Oh, I mean, you've seen American Idol or America's Got Talent.
Yeah, is it like
You've seen The Hunger Games. And imagine that all gay. And then that was the audition.
But wait, how did they? I mean, because let's go through. You and I have something in common. We both worked at Applebee's. I worked at 2 different Applebee's in New Jersey.
Okay. So as I was just talking about not being able to watch American Idol, literally the memory I went back to was sitting in the parking lot at Applebee's in Denver, talking to one of the girls that I worked with, and she was talking about American Idol, and I was like, I just can't watch it. And that's the memory I had telling you about that. And then you went to Applebee's.
I'm sorry, I'm in your brain right now. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring up all of these very classic Americana suburban dream things right
Eating
now.
good in the neighborhood.
Oh, man.
Wasn't that
No one
gross?
really ate well in that neighborhood.
Tequila lime chicken was so good.
We were there when they had the Weight Watchers menu debuted, the WW
that?
menu,
Yeah.
where everything was calorie controlled and all of that. And so that's what all of the servers at the restaurant that I worked at would eat on our breaks, because we knew that it's all pre-portioned and pre-packaged, that the kitchen didn't touch it.
Oh,
Yeah, that they literally put it in a
Yeah.
microwave and they heated it up. And so we knew that there was no foul play involved with it. So
That's a
it's
good idea.
literally like a bunch of 18-year-olds eating like just plain chicken and like sauteed
I
peppers.
remember one day it was our holiday party.
Uh-huh.
So the restaurant, we were closing early at 7, and at like 6:58, this family came in, and the hostess was like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're actually closing at 7 tonight
Uh-huh.
for our holiday party. And they looked at their watch and they're like, well, I guess we just made it, didn't we?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, you have no idea what you guys ate that night.
Oh, God, I know. I still think that there should be, because I've worked at every chain restaurant. I've done like the Chili's, the Applebee's, the Olive
Ruby
Gardens.
Tuesdays.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. See, I didn't even get that far. My highest achievement was Dave & Buster's, and I only lasted a month. So it was not the best situation. But I still to this day believe that people in high school should have a course in like serving restaurant, like business, just interacting with humans that way, because it really is a study in how humans interact with the world.
My husband, for some reason, his dream is to open up a restaurant. Like, he
Uh-oh.
wants a restaurant.
Is that triggering for you?
But no, I'm just like, it's because you've never worked in a restaurant.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's a doctor. His first job was Blockbuster. He never worked in a restaurant. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
especially an individual one. I'm like, as an owner, you got to be there all the time.
All
it's
the
not just,
time.
I'm going to do a restaurant and
Mhm.
it'll run smoothly. No.
You live there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so talk us through. So you worked at Applebee's in Denver.
I worked at Applebee's first in Springfield, Missouri, then
Hell yeah.
in Branson, Missouri.
Hell yeah.
And the Branson, Missouri, I still lived in Springfield, and it was like an hour away, hour and a half.
You would drive?
I would drive on Friday morning, and I would work a bell, open to close Friday. I would sleep in the parking lot in my car.
What?
And then I'd work an open to close Saturday, sleep in the parking lot in my car, and then an open to close Sunday, and then drive home.
Oh my God.
Because if you worked lunch shifts during the week, sometimes you literally make like $4.
Yeah. No, and then also sometimes when you work lunch shifts on the weekends, you make as much as people did on Tuesday night.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to game the system.
Yeah.
So that's nuts. Okay. And so then from Missouri, you moved to Denver.
Yeah.
And then in Denver is where you started to get into design furniture.
Yes. So I was still in Denver. I moved there as the assistant manager of the body shop at the airport. And I was making $24,000 a year.
Whoa, humble
brag.
brag.
I was like, I'm rich.
I have arrived.
Rich. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm making so much money and without even a high school degree. No, seriously.
Wow.
Because I was in Missouri working at like a gas station in the Gap, and I was like making nothing. So I was like, oh my God, $24,000 a year.
Insane.
And then like there a month, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so poor. Like Denver's so expensive.
That's true. Yeah.
So I ended up going back to Applebee's to work part-time as well.
Really?
I had to have 2 jobs, and then I worked at I was a human resource manager at the Gap. I just did nothing but interview.
You did HR at the Gap?
Yeah. I did nothing but interview 16-year-old girls all day long who wanted to work at the Gap. And then next week they'd quit because they had to work the weekends and they had somewhere they wanted to go.
And they had prom.
Right. And so all I did was just interview people over and over and over because we were constantly filling.
Wow.
And then I worked at the Bombay Company. I worked at Express. I was the youngest store manager in Express history. I couldn't even operate the trash compactor yet because I wasn't 18.
So basically, you worked at every place you can imagine in a suburban mall.
Actually, I can tell a little part of it. So I met the owner recently of American Eagle and American Signature Furniture and DSW. And I was just talking to him and he's telling me stories and he mentioned American Eagle. And then I was like, wait a minute, I used to work for you.
I was on payroll for you.
I used to work for you. I'm like, full circle.
Amazing.
But yeah, so God.
So then where does furniture and design fit into this?
So I was always into design, but in Missouri, like that wasn't really something you did. Like
sure.
There weren't really designers. The only decorators I ever saw were designing women, with Delta Berk.
Yeah. This is pre-internet. This is pre-Pinterest. This is pre-everything.
There was none of that, and I remember when I went into Target, I was probably like 8 or 9, and they're very, they're big on their designer collaborations.
Yeah.
Their very first designer collaboration was with Michael Graves, who was an architect, and he had these amazing toasters and tea kettles and spatulas, and that was the first time I looked at products and items as something that was designed. Before
and you
I
remember
was just
that
like,
from being 8 or 9 years old?
I remember the exact moment.
Wow.
I remember standing there looking up at all these spatulas going, these are so cool. It's not just, a spoon is not just something that you spoon stuff with.
Right.
A spoon is something that can bring you joy.
Yeah.
Like it can look cool too, and that was my first time I thought about there's people out there that are making things pretty and thinking about the way things make you feel. But again, that wasn't really something in Missouri I thought was ever an option for me.
Sure.
So then in Denver, I worked for the Bombay Company, which was a retail furniture store.
Okay.
Kind of got me into liking that more. And then after the Bombay Company, I went to L'Occitane. I've worked for pretty much every retail company out there.
Sounds like it.
Then I went to work for a company called Great Indoors,
which
was owned by Sears. It was this massive, it was kind of like a Home Depot meets a furniture store. It was like a Best Buy, anything you could want for your home. It was in this massive store. Sadly, they didn't make it. They had like 10 locations.
I was going to say, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it wasn't a concept that worked. But after that, I really got into design even more. And then I came to New York to meet up with a friend. And I ended up meeting a boy and fell in love and decided I was going to move to New York. And that relationship did not even last until I got to New York. But I fell in love with the city too.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to move to New York. And I didn't have a job. I was just like, I'll just get a job at Applebee's.
There's killer Applebee's in Times Square.
Or at a restaurant. I had tons of restaurant experience. In Denver, I also worked at a high-end Italian restaurant as well that was owned by the mob.
You had a spectrum of opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'll just get a job as a server. Like I can always just do that, you know? So I got to New York with like $100 in a suitcase and quickly learned that restaurants will not hire you in New York unless you have New York City experience.
Yes, this is very true.
So it took me about 3 months to find a job, and that was Restoration Hardware.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was the first job you got in New York?
Yeah, I was. They hired me as a design manager at Restoration Hardware.
Wow.
And so I worked there, I want to say like 3 months before I got fired. I've been fired from every job I've ever had, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. That's what Chrissy Teigen and I relate on that. Her and I, we've both been fired from every single job we've ever had.
So
the funny thing is, though, I got fired while Tom Felicia was upstairs filming Queer Eye.
Wait, I saw this when you guys did the special where you guys are all like having a brunch together and talking about everything. Yeah, I heard you tell him that.
He was
nuts.
upstairs filming, not knowing that the little boy that would one day fill his shoes was getting fired.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But you also can have a clean slate of saying you're not a quitter because you've literally never quit a job.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, I almost think I would get fired on purpose because I'm not a quitter. Like, I will not quit something unless I have another job. And even then, I still didn't. So I think sometimes I would just sabotage myself. Just shoot me. Yeah. Just get me out of here. I remember in New York after Restoration Hardware, I went to work for Bed Bath Beyond.
Uh-huh. I can't imagine. Those coupons never expire.
And, well, back then, the one on 18th Street in New York was the only Bed Bath Beyond in New York City.
I know exactly it. I've gone in there a million times.
Did more business than most Bed Bath Beyond districts do in a month.
Wow.
There was a room upstairs where people just sat and counted cash. There was those tubes where the registers just shot cash into the room, and it was like the Quacky Duck. What was his name? McDuck, like diving through
Scrooge McDuck.
I ran the whole front end, so the cash registers, checkout, and the customer service. And Bed Bath Beyond has a very open return policy.
Yes, they do.
So it was just nothing but, soiled sheets and plungers and arrow beds. We called them rent-a-beds because they'd go out on Friday and they'd come back on Monday.
Wow.
And it was an intense job. So West Elm was opening up their second store. They had just been acquired by Williams-Sonoma.
Mm-hmm.
They're opening up their first big store on 17th and 18th, 6th.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I want to work for this cute new brand. So I faxed
clean sheets.
I faxed my resume to them from work.
Oh, you faxed.
And Bed Bath Beyond is very budget focused.
Sure.
And so you don't get confirmations that your faxes went through because that would be a waste of paper. But what happened was you get a confirmation if it doesn't go through.
Okay.
But I didn't know that. So I walked away thinking it went through, but it didn't. So it copied the first page of my resume and spit it back out saying it didn't go through.
Oh, no.
And another manager that I had just been promoted over found it.
Oh, God.
And so Jennifer, hi, Jennifer.
Hi, she's an avid listener of Not Too Deep.
She took it to the general manager, and I actually had a meeting that day with him to talk about how I wanted to change up scheduling and new systems, and we had a great meeting, and he's like, this is awesome. Like, I've never had somebody come in here this quickly and change things for the better. And he's like, but what the fuck is this? And slides it across a desk, and I just looked at him and I go, the fuck do you expect? You think somebody that's coming in here and having great ideas is going to stay here? Like, this is horrible. They would give, I'm totally ruining any chance I ever have of any collaborations with Bed Bath Beyond right now.
No, you're still giving them feedback. You're giving them constructive
their
criticism.
Human resources had a deal that if I were to get you to come work at Bed Bath Beyond as a manager and you stayed for 3 months, I'd get a $3,000 bonus.
Oh.
They never had to pay that.
Wow.
No one stayed for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot. It was a very, it might be better at other stores that weren't as as intense as that store is. But it was funny. I filmed a segment for Rachel Ray a few months ago, and they were like, we want you to film it in Bed Bath Beyond on 6th Avenue. And I'm like, triggered.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so I'm walking through with all Bed Bath Beyond's corporate PR people, marketing team. I'm walking through and I'm like, and right up there's where I got fired.
You basically did a full tour.
Yeah. I'm like, and right over there is where I used to cry. And up there is where I got fired. And there's where those sheets came back a little dirtier than I'd hoped.
That's incredible. Yeah, my only connection to that Bed Bath & Beyond, I did improv in New York at a theater that was nearby, and that's where I would go and take nervous shits before going to the theater to perform.
That was you.
That was me.
Because the bathrooms were right behind customer service.
Yes, they were. And I would walk in with full confidence as if I didn't
you came
have to
in, you passed
anyone.
the return desk, you went to the left.
I made eye contact with no one. I went straight in and straight out. It was the beyond part of Bed Bath & Beyond. It was truly magical. That store is provided
Bet
a lot of yeah. Okay, this is amazing. We're going to take one quick break when we get back with more of Bobby Berk, and we'll find out where the fuck else he's been fired from after this.
Not too deep.
Oh, this episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Bud Light. Are you craving flavor and refreshment this summer? Then pick up one of 3 flavors of Bud Light Chelada. Original, extra lime, and the newest member of the Chelada family, mango. Bud Light Chelada is perfect for drinking at brunch, on the beach, or just hanging out with friends in the sun. The original Chelada brings you the crisp, refreshing taste of Bud Light with the rich signature taste of Clamato tomato cocktail. This distinctive blend delivers a flavor that truly refreshes, and the Chelada extra lime delivers a citrusy spin, and the Chelada mango brings a tropical touch to the summertime favorite. It's best to enjoy your Chelada. Gently rotate the chilled can once before pouring, then pour over ice and garnish with a slice of lime, some celery, or mango. Salt the rim with your glass, add a dash of hot sauce for even more kick and even more impressive aesthetics of drink. People will maybe think that you made them an original cocktail, but you didn't. You got a Bud Light Chelada on your hands. Pick up a Bud Light Chelada today and learn more at budlight.com. Bud Light Chelada, flavor that refreshes.
Not too deep.
Support for today's show comes from Bare Minerals, creators of clean beauty. Purity in formulation and uncompromising performance have always been the guiding principles of Bare Minerals because they believe that makeup and skincare should make your skin better, not just better looking. This has been the Bare Minerals philosophy since they began the clean beauty revolution in 1995 with their best-selling original foundation. It's got creamy, lightweight, buildable coverage. It's naturally luminous. The clean formula is made with only 5 good-for-you skin ingredients, all minerals, including non-chemical SPF protection. It's makeup so pure you can sleep in it, and it actually improves your skin over time. What more could you want? It's everything your skin needs and nothing it doesn't, because for Bare Minerals to be clean without compromise means good for skin formulas with proven performance. And like every Bare Minerals product, it's 100% cruelty-free, and better yet, both the original and matte loose powder foundations are available in 30 shades, so upgrade to clean beauty products. Use their foundation finder at bareminerals.com, and you can find your perfect match, and first-time customers will get 15% off when you use the promo code NOT2DEEP. That's bareminerals.com, promo code NOT2DEEP for 15% off your first purchase. Bare Minerals, the power of good.
You're like in your 20s and you're like, New York is hard as fuck. But it's fine. You're in your 20s. You're poor. It's fine that you can't.
You're also still kind of resilient.
Yeah, you know, and like I didn't even have money for cabs or the subway.
Right.
So that first 3 months I looked for a job, I was walking around in June, July, August in New York.
The grossest
in a
months.
Suit,
yeah.
You know, and then when were you there?
I was there 2008 to 2000.
I got there too late.
Yeah, I was 2007 to 2012-ish.
I got there in 2003. And like the last of like the grunge cool bars that Giuliani hadn't cleaned up yet were still there. And so I lived at 8th Avenue and 15th Street.
Okay.
You know that like cinder block gray building? You'd know it if you saw it.
Yes.
And so I'd walk all the way across the island to Lower East Side, Alphabet City, and I'd go out to like Opaline and all the great bars over there.
I was in Brooklyn the whole time when I lived there, and then I would go in the city and perform, and do auditions and basically just run around like a crazy person.
Yeah, but your 20s, it's great. You're like, life is hard. Life's supposed to be hard. I'm in my 20s. I'm poor. This is great. I'm making something.
I'm living the musical Rent right now.
And then you hit your 30s, and like for me, I was doing okay. I had a store. My husband had finished residency. He was a doctor, and we're like, life is still hard. Like it's a fight to get on the elevator. It's a fight to walk down the street. It's a fight to get on the subway. It's a fight to walk down the sidewalk. And I'm like, life should not be this angry. I remember, I think
exactly
like 2 or 3 years before we were finally like, get us the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Friends of mine came to visit from San Diego, and another friend of ours, we got a little house in the Hamptons for the weekend. And, you know, I'm like twitching. I'm a New Yorker. I'm like smoking my cigarettes. And our friend Billy and Michael, they were there. And people are like, oh, how is San Diego? How's California? Like, oh, it's chill. You know, it's just real chill. And I remember thinking to myself, like imagining strangling them, going, if they say chill one more time, I'm going to fucking kill them.
Yeah.
But then now people from New York are like, how's LA? I'm like, it's so chill. I'm like,
That's
it's
exactly-
great. I'm like, why did I ever live there?
Oh, that's exactly it. When I first came out here and I met people that had lived here in California for a long time, same exact thing, that they were so, I was like, I'm offended by how relaxed you are. Like, I don't understand why you're not on edge the way I'm on edge.
Why are you walking so slow? And why do you want to eat dinner so early?
And why isn't anyone mad at me for taking up too much space right now?
I remember one of the first times I came out here to LA, I was at Starbucks. I was with a friend of mine who had lived in New York but had since moved to LA.
Okay.
And we walk into Starbucks and there's like nobody at the register. And I walk up and I'm standing there and I look over and there's this woman like bent down behind the coffee machine, like cleaning something. And I was like, and she leans up and she's like, I am so sorry. And I instantly was going to be like, fuck you. Like, and my friend, again, who had lived in New York and lived in LA now, put her hand on my shoulder and says, she's being sincere. And I was like, oh, thank you. I was like,
no, that's,
you're just so used to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, like,
exactly.
Excuse me. But I'm like, oh,
exactly
you're
that.
being nice. And then a week later, I was at a Starbucks you can tell I live my life in Starbucks.
I love it.
Standing in Starbucks with another friend who had lived in New York, now in LA. And I see this guy like kind of nervously over there, like, you know, squeezing his hand and kind of like he's clearly in a rush. And I had just seen one of the baristas drop a coffee. So I'm like, oh, that was probably his. Yeah. And so finally he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Is there, you know, an iced Americano on its way up? You know, I'm in a huge hurry. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I was making it and it slipped out of my hand. I'm so sorry. I'm making you another one now. He's like, you know what? I don't have time. If you could just pour me an iced coffee. And she's like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, don't apologize. It's my fault. I should have given myself more time to get to work.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, where am I? You know, in New York at my Starbucks, you know, I worked at a store, Portico, and then I had my store on Crosby between Spring and Broome. And that Starbucks on the corner of Spring and Broome was like my Starbucks for like a decade. Yeah. And I remember like so many mornings like cursing people out in there because they were being so mean to the baristas. And I'd be like, it's just a fucking cup of coffee, bitch. Like, why are you ruining this poor girl's day over a cup of coffee? Relax.
Oh my God.
And here at Starbucks in LA, everyone's just so nice.
And I have a hard time accepting the sincerity. I immediately interpret it as sarcasm. Yep. And so I'm on the defense right away and I have to chill the fuck out because I'm like, you're not from New Jersey anymore and you're not living in New York anymore. So calm the fuck down.
I've gotten better now. Like I can,
a sense of zen.
Yeah.
But you also, okay, let's talk about travel. You've been traveling like crazy. Has there been, and like for the last 2 years, you guys have just been like all over the place?
Yes and no. Our show has only been out for 1 year and 2 months.
But how long, when did you guys start shooting?
We started filming in May of 2017. Okay. So we were in Atlanta for almost 6 months. Right. Then from September until February, we had nothing. Like no one knew who we were.
Oh yeah, what was that waiting period like? That launch, like you're like, okay, we did a thing, and now we have to let people edit it, and then hope it goes well.
We're like, okay, now we have the time of just sitting there and waiting for people to like hate our show.
Sure,
because none of us thought people were going to like it. Like we all thought it was going to be a flop. Sure, we're like, oh, this was fun. Yeah. That's
so nuts.
Because the press that came out before the show actually launched, none of it was positive.
Oh, see, I'm not familiar with any of that.
Everyone was like, what do we need the show for now? Like, this is not the time. Like, this is just offensive that they think that this show would work nowadays. Like, that 5 gay guys could come in and like redo this straight guy. Like, yeah. So we're like, oh God, this is going to be a mess. Yeah. Luckily, I mean, it wasn't. But so yeah, it came out February 7th, 2018. And then, I mean, it did well, but it wasn't until season 2 that I think it really exploded.
I think that's when I started, when season 2 came out is when I heard a lot of people talking about it. And then I fully binge watched in like 2 days, all of it.
Do you know why? So season 1, the producers had a very specific idea in their mind of what they wanted me to look like.
Oh, really?
And I think one of the words they used was waspy. They wanted me to be this
wow.
preppy little blonde, like pastel color wearing guy from
Wow.
Connecticut. Hi, I'm Clifford from Connecticut.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is not me. Like, I don't think I own anything
I love
color.
polo and lacrosse. Yeah.
Literally, lacrosse is what they wanted me in.
Wow.
And by the end of season 1, I'm like, you can't fire me now. I am not wearing this anymore. And so season 2 was more successful because
you guys were
I
more
was being
yourselves.
me.
Yeah, no, that's.
I'm kidding, but
no, that's.
I'm not kidding about the colors.
Yeah, that's so nuts. And as someone that has an eye for aesthetics, you're like, I don't want. This is not who I am.
Honestly,
and also in a show that you're encouraging people to be authentically themselves. Like,
here's why. The show did not start out like that.
Oh, really?
But I think. And it was David Collins, the creator of the show, that had this idea in his mind. And I think it was because he had been there from the beginning, from the original.
Right.
And there was Carson. He was the blonde.
Yes.
He wore the bright colors. He was the preppy. And I think in his mind, he was like, all right, Bobby's the blonde.
Right.
So he needs to dress kind of like Carson did.
Yes.
And, because he hadn't seen the new iteration yet, he just had in his mind what the original show and how it was successful and why it was successful and how successful the original Fab Five were. So he's like, all right, we're going to do it the same. We're going to do it.
This formula works.
Yeah, this formula works. Why would we change it? All right, you're the blonde. Wear a lot of bright colors. And so there was nothing that he was trying to make me not be myself.
No.
It was just, he had it in his mind. Here's a successful formulation. Why would we deviate from that?
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, we were talking about travel and then we got on this.
No, I'm so curious about all of this. Yeah.
It was kind of a fight between us and the original creators of the show. Not a fight, just kind of a
conversation.
butting of the heads.
Yeah.
Because again, they had a winning formula. They knew it worked. They knew it was super successful. So they're like, let's do it like that.
Right.
And we were like, no.
Yeah.
In 2018, we don't think 5 gay guys going into a straight guy's house and telling him everything that's wrong with him and ripping him apart and me ripping their house apart and breaking things.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work now. I mean, people are going to be like, yeah, exactly. We didn't need this again. So we're like, how about we go in and we find everything that's great about them? Because clearly these people don't see anything great about themselves. That's why they're on this show, and build them up.
Yeah.
And this show being about building people up and self-love. And so in the beginning, again, not a fight, but a fight of creative minds of
it's a creative consultation that you guys have. It's a collaboration is what's going on.
On our discovery days, our deshoveling, that's the day on Tuesdays where we go in and we meet them and we start tearing apart the house and looking.
Right.
And it was always like, do more, tear apart more. And we're like, no.
We don't, these are the people's things.
I'm like, I'm not going to go in. I'm like, and their wives are there too and be like, this house is hideous, But I'm like, he wasn't the one that decorated it. She was. I'm like, I'm not going to break this poor woman's heart. I'm like, that's not what we're going to do. So it wasn't until probably episode 4 where we're finally dug our heels in and we're like, no, let us do this.
Yeah.
And then it came out and they were like, yes, this works now.
That makes sense because also you're watching and you're creating a show that you would want to watch if you weren't part of it. That's kind of like my litmus test for creating anything is like, if I heard this or saw this or whatever, would I want to watch it myself?
And the original show definitely was groundbreaking in its time.
For the time period,
There were no real gay people on TV. Even Jack from Will and Grace, he hadn't even technically come out in his real life yet.
Yeah.
So the world was okay with 5 gay guys on television as long as they were these
cartoonish,
flamboyantly dressed, over-the-top gay guys. Not that they were over-the-top gay guys, but
But I saw Tom post a throwback photo of their old people. It was some cover, and it's a lot of there's a lot of ascots and
they're fashion designers and their haircuts and their cookers and their designers and the world was okay as long as we stood in our lane of being those creative gays.
Right.
But it wouldn't have been okay if they had talked about their husbands and their boyfriends and wanting kids and actually being real people.
Yeah.
Where we wanted to make sure that we were seen as real people and not those caricatures of what people think gays are.
Right.
We wanted everyone in Middle America who may have not ever met a gay person, or in Ethiopia or Saudi Arabia, where we air as well, to see us as just regular guys.
You're fully formed human beings at the end of the day. That's what I respected so much the episode where you didn't want to go into the church. And that was, for me, a real kind of turning point of oh, this is a real show. These are people that are having real reactions. A producer didn't set up this moment for you to have.
I got in trouble for that.
But I mean, to be fair, it's the most honest situation and very, very cool, regardless of what happened behind the scenes of everything. I think it was really awesome to see that was allowed, you know, that was like a real moment on TV that you're not acting uncomfortable. You are genuinely uncomfortable and you're standing up for yourself without making the other person feel bad or making anyone else feel bad. And I was just like, this is very cool to see, even if I'm sure it was probably awkward and weird.
And the creator of the show, David, was upset with me. And this is, again, no knock at David, because David's very religious. He goes to church.
Sure.
He looked at it as me being disrespectful. And he was like, I can't believe you did that, not going in there. It was so disrespectful. And I'm like, we had to come to Jesus, no pun intended, conversation where I was like, it wasn't me being disrespectful. It was just me protecting my own mental health. You know, that's a trigger for me.
Yeah.
And in the end, he was like, I get it. You're right. You know, I'm sorry. It's just for me, being religious, loving the church, I saw that as a slap in the face. And he's like, I see now that it wasn't. And
but that's the cool thing is like, it's a conversation starter to say the least about that scene, that I was like, this is really cool because things like exactly that, it causes people to start asking questions about where is the offense? There's no real offense. It's everyone has their own story and their own history and their own like relationship with religion in some way. And I think it's really cool to be able in a very kind of genuine, like it was subtle too. It didn't seem like it was this big like
I was just like, I'm
moment. Yeah. And that's what I was like, cool. This is very cool. I like the direction that this is all going right now. And I'm sure you've gotten probably a lot of feedback about that specific moment from a lot of people that have been raised in a very religious.
I mean, I can't honestly even keep up with the messages we still get about that episode, but one that really stood out to me, and I think it was a combination of the Bobby Camp episode with all the kids and the Mama Tammy episode, because Bobby was in season 1, Mama was in season 2. A pastor messaged me and he's like, my entire life in church, I was taught that gays were wrong, gays were bad, gays were an abomination, that it was a choice to live this Sodom and Gomorrah lifestyle. And that's what I've taught in my church as well. I've taught that God hates gays and blah, blah, blah. But seeing the episode where you talk about every day of your life crying and begging and praying God to make you not gay, he's like, literally changed my life. And I will never teach that hate in my church again. I will never teach my congregation or anyone that being gay is wrong and then it's a choice and abomination. He's like, it really made me see that you are born that way and it's not a choice. And if you are born that way, how can I believe that God, you know, is the all powerful and nothing happens for a reason? Everything is in God's plan. But then also at the same time say, oh, well, you couldn't, you know, if you were born that way, it's wrong. Well, I was born that way because, you know, quote unquote, God made me that way. And he's like, I can't make that work together. So I just have to accept it.
Wow. That's so intense and beautiful and wonderful.
And the amount of other messages I've gotten from people in congregations or pastors who have said they have told their congregation that watching Queer Eye is homework. Like,
really?
You need to go home and specifically watch the Bobby Camp episode and the Mama Tammy episode. So even though I'm still not part of the church, I don't have any desire to be, just the fact that our show is it's definitely helping young LGBTQ youth not go through the self-hate that a lot of us had to go through growing up.
Yeah, no.
That right there means a lot.
The impact is immeasurable, I can imagine. That it's one of those things that's now just fully taken off, that it's like you guys are all seemingly genuine, wonderful souls that I'm sure you want to keep up with all the messages that you get, but I can imagine that it's so overwhelming that even to start like responding to people and replying and like looking through your DMs and things like that must be just like a full.
First day the show came out, I remember like I woke up, 'cause of course we're on the West Coast, so I woke up after people had already started watching it, and I started looking at my DMs and started responding. I went out and I laid on the sofa, and the next time I looked at the clock, it was 7 p.m. and I had been up at like 6. And I'm like, oh God, I just fell down a deep hole of DMs.
Yep.
And then for the first few months, I really kept up on them, and it actually started causing problems between my husband and I. Because if I was home, I was on the sofa, I wasn't watching TV with him, I wasn't doing anything, I was responding. So I one of my team does not all my social media, but she makes sure that we're responding to people and keeping up, because I had to detach myself from it. Tan did as well. Because both of our husbands were like, put your phones down. But we felt such an obligation to respond to these people that we had an effect on, because we didn't want them to think that it was bullshit and that we were fake. We're like, we really want to genuinely connect with them. but we just couldn't.
Oh,
Like,
it's
we couldn't keep up
impossible.
with it.
It's an impossible task. I also think it's really cool that you and Tan both openly talk about your relationships on the show. Was that a conscious choice, or is that just kind of
somebody
like...
messaged us yesterday, and they're like, funny thing is, my mom and I, all the way through season 1 and 2, when Tan and Bobby would talk about how they were married, we thought they were married to each other. And it's not the first time I've heard that.
Really?
Because Tan and I will say, I'm like, Tan and I are married. Tan and I are both married. Tan will be like, Bobby and I are both married. And so
that's
many
so
people
funny.
think that we're married to each other. And the funny thing is, it could totally happen. Like, he's totally my type, cute little brown boy. He loves the pasty white boys. Like, his husband and I could be brothers. My husband and him could be cousins,
That's so funny. Yeah, I guess I've never thought about it that way, but yeah, that could be easily misinterpreted.
Yeah. But yes, it was a conscious effort because, again, like I said, the original guys didn't have the freedom to be able to talk about the fact that they were real people, that they were husbands, that they were parents or whatever, and so we really wanted to make sure that we did. And Karamo as well really wanted to make sure that he talked about his sons.
Yeah.
So people would think, oh, amazing, sweet, wonderful gay people can be parents. They're not, like that awful propaganda that's out there about, gay parents raise horrible kids and blah, blah, blah. We really wanted to see that.
Yeah.
One of the guys that you think is one of the sweetest guys in the world, he's a dad.
And he's got amazing, thriving, wonderful children.
Such lovely.
Oh, his Instagram of them
overly
dancing.
Polite boys. Like, it's almost uncomfortable how polite Christian and Jason are. I'm just like, you don't need to call me Mr. Bobby. Just
so
call me Bobby.
That's so
they're so sweet and well behaved. I mean, Karamo's like, they're such pain in the ass, but like as all kids are to their dad.
Sure.
But he's done such a good job with those boys. They're so polite. They're so respectful.
That's awesome.
They're just so smart and intelligent. He did a really good job with them.
Was your husband on board about you being so open about the relationship publicly?
Yeah, I mean, we've been together
there's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, we've been together for 15 years.
Yeah, so you're like, we're solid.
We've always been very open. I'm like, I don't think it was ever a conversation because it's not really, it shouldn't be a conversation.
Yeah,
I'm married.
normal.
I have a husband. Like, that's just
It's
part
not a
of it.
secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's so great. You guys on your Instagram are cute as heck. Your photos together are literal couple goals constantly. You guys just went to PF Chang's and had a date. Because this is, when I saw that you worked at Applebee's and that you and your husband just went on a date to PF Chang's, I was like, we're like soul sisters. This is my favorite human.
Lettuce wraps.
Tell me about this.
I was landing from North Carolina. I was out dealing with the launch of my new furniture line, and he was getting on a plane to go to New York. He still goes back. He has an office in Darien, Connecticut. He's a doctor. He goes back once a month for his patients there. And we hadn't seen each other in 2 weeks. And so we got like 2.5 hours together. He came to the airport a little early, and the only like long-time dining location in the airport was PF Chang's. So we're like, well, let's go to PF Chang's.
I love that so much. That is honestly, I'm writing that down to tell my boyfriend, like, we don't even have to be arriving or departing on a plane. I just want to go to LAX and go to PF Chang's with you, please. Okay, we're going to take one last quick break. And when we get back, I have a million Twitter questions for you. If you do not mind, we'll be right back with Bobby Berk on Not Too Deep.
Not too deep.
For years, we've been told that clean meant one thing: sanitize. It's supposed to be healthy, but sanitizers and disinfectants wipe out everything, all the good, healthy stuff, along with any bad, like your gut. Your home has a microbiome too. Surprise, surprise. And research is starting to show that this kill-em-all approach may be going too far with negative effects on our health, especially for kids. But right now, Aunt Fanny's, what a great name, brings probiotics to your home and your hands with their new Microcosmic line. These household cleaners and hand soaps add good with probiotic power. Each has an extract of beneficial bacteria plus super effective plant-based ingredients to be tough on dirt and gentle on you. These formulas are non-toxic, cruelty-free, and have 100% essential oil scents, so no fake fragrances. They're hypoallergenic and dermatologist tested too. What a great way to keep your home clean and also keep all the good stuff that you need, but that your kids or your pets don't need. So why just stop at natural cleaning when you can do one better with probiotics? Shop now at auntfannies.com/good and get 20% off your entire order with the coupon code GRACE, GRACE, at checkout. Again, that's fannies.com/good, coupon code GRACE.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Smile Direct Club. They straighten your teeth for 60% less than braces with clear aligners sent directly to you. You simply go online and you book a free 3D image at one of their smile shops. How cute. Or you can order an at-home impression kit and you'll be emailed a preview of your new smile. And once you get your aligners, one of Smile Direct Club's duly licensed doctors will check in on your progress every 90 days. Most new smiles take 6 months on average, so visit SmileDirectClub.com for free, real, before and after photos from some of 550,000 plus satisfied grinners. Also cute. I don't know why I said they're free photos. I'm getting my words mixed up, but you'll get to see all the real before and after photos. Again, get a free 3D image of your smile at one of Smile Direct Club's smile shops or a $25 rebate on an at-home impression kit. Then just for you beautiful listeners, you will receive $100 off your clear aligners when you go to SmileDirectClub.com/podcast and use the offer code GRACE100. That's $100 off at SmileDirectClub.com/podcast. Offer code GRACE100. SmileDirectClub.com/podcast. Offer code GRACE100.
There's an Instagram, Griffin the Frenchie.
Yeah.
Love him. And did you do that chewing? And did you do the sport? So cute. We had a Frenchie.
You did?
We did, yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, you had it on the last season, right?
No, that's Bruley.
That's Bruley.
So my husband and I actually had a Frenchie. She was 13. She passed away while we were filming season.
But 13,
yeah.
Like she lived a full, that was an old woman at that point.
Her name was Lola.
Ugh, I follow too many French Bulldogs on Instagram. It's a real problem.
Yeah, no, Bruley is our little boy on the show.
He's a cutie.
He lives here in LA.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wait, so he's not one of yours actual dogs?
No, he was one of our producers who lives here in LA. It was her dog. And like he would just walk onto set when we were trying to film the love scenes. And we're like, Bruley, out. And he would like just sit down. And so that was like the very first episode. We're like, you know what? Let's just roll with this. Because we all all of us but Tan love dogs. Tan's terrified of dogs. It's so cute. Remember season 1, I had to carry him in the beginning of an episode because of a dog. And we were filming with a dog the other day, and it was the sweetest, most lovely. And she wasn't even a big dog. She was like part corgi, part something else.
Oh my God.
But she sneezed.
And that freaked him out.
Tan literally, I mean, you would have thought that Godzilla had just burst because he goes, screamed and jumped up in the sofa, and we were all like, what the fuck? We're like, that was just a sneeze, Tan. And he's like, oh, I thought she was like coming after me.
I hope that makes the bloops. I hope that makes the blooper real. Okay, we're going to get into these Twitter questions. Okay. Before we do, I'm going to ask you the 2 questions I ask every single guest that's on the podcast. And the first is, who, alive or dead, would you most want to throw cold spaghetti at?
Cold spaghetti?
Yes, sir.
Well, not having ever had cold spaghetti thrown at me, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's up for your own interpretation.
Buttered cold spaghetti?
Sure, it could be.
That's good. That's yummy. Huh. Who do I want to throw cold spaghetti at? Actually, no, I don't think it would be very nice. So let's think of somebody I don't like.
Okay.
I mean, gotta say, Trump.
Yeah.
He'd get it in his hair. Yeah, he could never get it out. Like, he'd have to like cut it out of the 3 strands he has left. Or he might put some like Kraft powdered cheese on it and just make it like his hair.
He'd make it fashion and it'd be annoying.
Well, not fashion. He'd make it bad hair.
Worse hair than what he already has. That's a great answer. Okay, the other question is to tell us your worst pants shitting story or close call, but you can only use... You can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases. So mine, for instance, is college, jogging, front lawn.
Kindergarten.
Okay.
All over the that's more than one.
You can use small phrases. It's okay.
Kindergarten outside of my pants. Triggered.
That's the built-in drinking game for this episode, is that every time that Bobby is triggered, you take a drink. Okay, let's get into the Twitter questions. We have a million for you.
I saw them popping up on Twitter these last few days.
They're always the most informative thing for me for every guest to see like how people respond to whoever is going to be on. And people really have quite a relationship with you. Okay, someone wants to know, what is the definitive answer to proper toilet paper placement?
Over?
Okay, well, you heard it.
Absolutely.
Why?
I mean...
Your face got so disgusted at the idea of under.
Yeah, you're just like, why would you want to reach under to grab it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
okay.
I mean, the only reach around I want to do does not involve toilet paper.
Very fair. And now I see why you got fired from Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay. Okay, someone wants to know
the only inappropriate comment firing I ever got was from MCI. Yeah,
no follow-up questions there.
Hi, this is Bobby with MCI. Do you like your long distance carrier?
Oh, that was really good.
Thank you.
I mean, you should be in the commercials. Someone wants to know, what's a plant that I can't kill?
A plastic one.
Oh, okay. Are you pro or no artificial plants?
I am neither pro nor no.
Okay.
I think that there's a time and a place. I think that there are a lot of great ones out there that if you have a room that doesn't have the right sunlight, that you just can't grow something, I think green makes you happy, whether it's fake or not. And aesthetically, it looks nice. It adds texture. It adds natural elements. So if you get a good one and you don't have the right sunlight or you travel a lot,
that's
get a fake one. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like technology, artificial plants are starting to look more and more realistic.
Some of those fiddle figs that everyone is so up in arms that I give to everyone, not all those are real. They're like, why does Bobby give a fiddle fig to everyone? They're just going to kill it. What is he thinking? I'm like, they're not all real. Calm the fuck down.
And they look great.
Yeah.
Like, get over it.
Like, bring me some different plants then.
Someone wants to know, what does Karamo smell like? Because I imagine it's heavenly.
He was over at my house a few weeks ago, and when he left, like the blanket he was covered up with, because he's always cold, smelled like him, and I just like laid there myself and smelled it after. I don't know what clone he wears, but it's nice. He always smells nice.
You guys, I mean, you smell amazing, and you guys, I imagine, all smell great. Like, that's not like you're not driving an SUV full of like body odor around, unless maybe you are sometimes. Everyone has a little bit of an expiration date on how well they can smell.
Or they start out the day like that.
Okay. We won't get into specifics. A lot of people are asking this same type of question. What's the grossest thing in someone's home that wasn't shown on the show?
Dirty diapers on the floor and like,
disposed of dirty diapers. Wow.
And animal feces and rotten food.
Because, okay, here's a question. When you guys, what do you call it when you go in for the first day?
Discovery day.
How are you guys really going in blind? Like, they really haven't told you other than what you have in like your dossier about the person, or do you kind of know?
We are completely going in blind about what we know about the person.
Okay.
I'm not going in blind because
you have to. I
have to pre-order flooring and window treatments. Like, there's no way I can. Stores don't stock that amount of stuff.
Yeah, you
anymore.
can't do that in 24 hours.
But all the information about them, we're going in blind. We've never met them. We've seen a picture. That's it. Yeah.
Wow, that must be so nuts. Have you ever had like a bad first impression day where you're like?
All of them are. And the particular episode I'm talking about with the feces and like anytime the cameras weren't rolling, we put on masks.
Really?
It was
just a situation.
The air quality smelled lethal, like
Yikes.
unhealthy.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, you guys played it off very well. So kudos to you. A lot of people are asking, how does he feel being the true MVP of Queer Eye? Because you really, and there's so many jokes that float around of like, Anthony says, put an avocado on it and you give them a whole fucking new house. Like,
we all have our roles. None of it would work without each and every one of our roles. It's just a given that interior design is more labor intensive. It doesn't mean it's any more important. And you have a team that helps you out,
right? On the show.
Course.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
You're not in there like...
No, I mean, season 1 and 2, I was definitely in there way more because my team was way smaller.
Right.
But no, I have an amazing team. My art director, Tommy, he was the art director for Extreme Home Makeover.
Oh, cool.
So like he knows how to build a house in a week.
Yeah.
So without him, I wouldn't get any of this done because he really knows how to make sure that everything we need gets there when it's supposed to.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's so helpful. And then you guys get into a rhythm of working together. And I'm sure it's gotten slightly easier, even though it's...
Season 1 and 2, as you know, they were shot together. It was all intertwined. So it was us learning each other. It was him learning me. It was me learning him. And by the time we got to season 3, he knows exactly, like he can walk into a store and be like, Bobby would want that one.
Oh, that's great.
And we basically build out our own little store.
Oh,
so
nice.
I usually go out there 1 to 2 weeks before the other boys.
Gotcha.
And we get a warehouse and we fill it full of shelves and we just start ordering tons of stuff.
Gotcha.
Art, vases, plants, bedding, inserts, like little side tables, lamps, and we just fill this warehouse full of stuff. And so that way, that week, I can, after meeting the hero and figuring out who they are and what they like, I can go into my store. And that's why you don't see a lot of shopping scenes. I don't like really promoting. Like, I don't want to just be the trade out whore, you know? I'm like, I don't. I'm like, there are the stores that I go to in this show are actually really stores that I work with. Yeah, like I love West Elm. I work with West Elm all the time. We work with Pottery Barn, Container Store. So, what was I saying?
But there's not a ton of like shopping scenes.
So it's I go in there, I pick everything out, and then we have a big box truck that has shelves down the side.
Oh, cool.
And I fill that up, and then we park that in front of the house while we're redoing it, and we go out and we shop in our little truck, and we're like, this will work, and this will work.
That's
and
great. I mean,
very rarely do we have to run to a store and be like, we don't have enough stuff, because we've pre-thought out and got tons of different genres of different things and looks. Yeah.
That makes sense. It's also because I imagine like the hero of your show is already so overwhelmed by everything that the last thing they want to do is pick out like furniture.
Well, and they can. I mean, most of them, I would say 9 out of 10 say their favorite home store is Walmart.
Right.
And that's not a home store.
Fair. Even though they have a new mid-century modern collection
Drew
going
stuff
on.
There is super cute. But yeah, that's just, especially in those areas, like some of the more suburban Walmart stores have actually a really cute home department, but the ones in like the middle of Missouri and Atlanta, they don't really.
Yeah.
So they don't know what they like. I could be like, do you like this sofa? Like one episode coming out in season 4, I actually do take him to West Elm, and it's somebody who has he's never lived in his own home.
Oh,
and he was an older gentleman, like lived with his family, as older, moved in with his parents to take care of them. And so he had never decorated a place for himself. So he had literally zero idea of what he liked. So I took him to the store. I'm like, do you like that? Oh, yeah, that's great. I'm like, do you like that? Oh, yeah, that's great. And I'd like purposely point to like ugly stuff and be like, do you like that? Oh, yeah, that's great. And I'm like, what do you like about it? I'm like, because you've told me you like everything.
Yeah.
And you can't. He's like, well, no, it's all great. I'm like, come on, give me something. You know, some of them, like, they give me nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times people are like, why do you paint so many of your walls blue or gray? I'm like, because they didn't give me anything.
And
I know they're going to like blue or gray. You know, I'm not just going to I'm like, oh, well, they didn't give me anything and I haven't used pink, so I'm going to use pink. I'm like, that's not what the show is. The show is about using design to affect their lives and make them happy. You know, it's not about me just showing all my tricks.
Right. Yeah, you're not on Trading Spaces right now. I love that show, but it's also insane. It's insane. But I think also the thing too with those kind of small moments is like interior design is intimidating. So it's like showing people that you can start really simply and like build around certain like key elements, and like it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. And
I learned quickly that like the producers just stopped even, because they usually would get us like a questionnaire of like, you know, their favorite colors.
And then they're like, it's not worth
their favorite clothing store. So Tan could maybe get an idea of what their style might be. But again, they usually said Walmart.
Yeah.
And so I learned, I'm like, don't even bother asking them the design questions anymore. Because they, like Tom Jackson, the very first episode, I asked him, I was like, you know, what's your design aesthetic? And he's like, oh, rustic modern. And I was like, all right, explain to me what rustic modern is to you. And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, is that just something you heard about once? Yeah. Damn, you know?
But that's a great impression.
So I quickly learned, I'm like, you know, these guys have, and it's not a jab at them or knock at them. They're just design, just like me growing up in Missouri. Design wasn't something you talked about. It was just like, you put something in there that was functional. Yeah, the sofa's comfortable. All right.
Right.
Even though it's a big,
this
ugly,
chair reclines.
Green leather thing. Yeah, exactly. It's a recliner. It's filled with, I don't know what it's filled with.
Treasures.
Butt gunk.
Yeah.
It literally, that camera did not
do
really,
justice to what was there.
It literally, I'm gonna get dirty. It literally looked like someone had just lube
Oh no!
all over their ass and just sat down in the chair. Like the silicone base, not the water base.
Yeah. That does not get out.
It was just like there was no saving that chair. But I learned to look at other questions like, what's your dream vacation? What's your favorite show? Like
that makes
with
sense.
Remy, the guy who had inherited his grandmother's house that was still like super stuck in the 70s with shag carpet. He said that his favorite show was Mad Men and that his dream vacation was Cuba.
And
I'm
then
like,
you can
all
put
right,
that
this
together.
guy loves the 50s. He loves mid-century, so I get kind of a mid-century flair with some Cubano in it,
I think that's just generally a great place to start at because I still struggle with like going on Pinterest and then getting overwhelmed by every fucking boho chic looking office space that I see. And I'm like, is this even really my style? I don't know. Or am I just seeing it over and over again that I'm conditioning myself to think this is aesthetically appealing to me? But like what you said, thinking about what shows I like and thinking about where I'd want to travel to are great like stepping stones.
When I work with clients that really don't have an idea of what their direction they want to go in, I tell them, I'm like, pin your favorite things. I'm like, and it doesn't have to be design. It can be a sweater. It can be a restaurant. It can be food. Like if you pin all this food that's like super architectural and structured, I'm like, I'm gonna get an idea that you like minimalism.
Yeah.
You like things to be in order. If you're pinning food that's all chaotic and a mess, I'm like, you probably like more of a boho, relaxed feel, So it's figuring out what people are going to like in their lives in design by figuring out what they like in different parts of their life.
That's super smart. Have you done a book yet? Is it coming? Is it in the works?
So, of course, all four of the boys have books now. And everyone's like, when are you doing a book? When are you doing a book? I'm like, I just launched a new 75 item collection of furniture that launched all over Asia and is about to launch in hundreds of stores here in the US. I just launched a massive new editorial website, a new wallpaper line, a new art collection. There's my fucking book. I'm like, I still run a company,
busy.
I still run a huge design firm. We have a lot of projects. And so I don't have time,
Yeah.
They don't have day jobs.
Right.
Tan was lucky enough that he had actually decided to sell his clothing company before he even got casted. Him and Rob had talked about starting a family.
Right.
And he wanted to really focus on that. So by the time we started filming, I think like maybe a few weeks in, the sale finalized and he was like, I'm done with that.
Wow.
And so he's able to just focus on the show and what's he want. And then Karama was doing TV before and Jonathan was doing hair and he doesn't really do hair much anymore. He does it for fun now. And then Anthony was doing food, but they all they don't have a company in which they need to be present at. They're doing projects. It's more of a creative flow.
And I think that's
so I'm like, I don't have time for a book. And also, if I'm going to do a book, I'm going to really do a book.
Yeah.
And I'm really going to talk about everything that has happened in my family since I moved away at 15 years old to the things that I've had to do to survive, the entrepreneurial spirit I have always had, whether it be legal businesses or not. I'm going to talk about everything.
I think that's great.
Now is not the time for that.
Yeah.
I really want to share my story, but my story is nowhere near done.
That's, I think, a very, very smart way to think about it. Like a book will always be there.
Yeah.
The option will always be there. And your story's only going to grow from here till whenever you want to actually put it into publishing. But I think that's the cool. You don't want to make just like a coffee table. Here's like what you can put on a coffee table book.
People say, they're like, why don't you just do a design book? I'm like, I'll be real frank. You don't make anything off of design books.
Yeah.
Design books take so much time and honestly money to put together, photo shoots and styling and trips all over the place to put it together, that it costs so much money to do that you really don't make anything off of it.
Yeah.
And they don't really sell that well. Like people who are into design buy them, but if you're not a big person that's into design, you're not going to spend, coffee table books aren't cheap.
Right.
So, anywhere from $80 to $120 on a book, it's just not worth it. Like that's not... I, for example, with my furniture line, I made my furniture line very accessible. It looks like it should be a $10,000 sofa, and it's a $1,000 sofa.
That's awesome.
The dining chairs look like they should be $1,000, and they're $250.
Amazing.
And so even with my book, I'm like, I don't want to put a book out that's not going to be accessible to all of my fans. So it'll be a memoir. Maybe eventually I will do a design book, but right now I'm like,
but also
go buy my wallpaper if you want to buy something.
Well, that Also, I looked at your website. Like you said, you have this amazingly Goop-esque lifestyle website going on right now.
I love when people say that.
It's beautiful.
Coming for you, Gwyneth.
But I feel like a lot of the things that people probably think they want from a design book from you are kind of covered on your website or being touched on your website or have already been talked about by you in episodes.
And I'm not coming for you, Gwyneth. I believe in the law of abundance. There's enough out there for both of us. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's what my site is about. Like, I want to be able to constantly be giving people information about life. And it's not just a design website.
Well, that's what I loved about it.
It's a lifestyle site.
It was, I mean, I opened it up and there's just fucking deviled eggs recipe right there and matzo ball soup. And I was like, I subscribe to this.
Yes.
I want to know everything
Health and
about
fitness.
this.
So my chef, he's my chef and my trainer. And that sounds so bougie every time I say it. But so I met him in Kansas City. When we were filming there, he was a trainer at the gym. Oh, wow. And Tan and Auntie and I all walked in and we're like, we'll take the cute gay one. Actually not gay though. Engaged to a woman. Sarah's amazing. But he's like, you know, in Kansas City, there aren't a lot of guys necessarily that are like really great bodies and take care of themselves and like super well groomed. And you know, he lived in London. He was super articulate. So we're like, oh yeah, he's the gay one. Yeah. You know, but he's not. And so I fell in love with him as like my bro and my friend. And we travel so much and we're so gone that it's, you know, it's not ravaged Antony's body. He's obviously had a lot of time to work on that. Yep. But the rest of us, we're not as focused on it because we're always traveling.
You're busy.
So I'm like, I need somebody who is going to force me to work out twice a day and he's going to cook for me and cook healthy. So I'm like, you know what? Do you want to move to LA? And then I was like, you know, we decided to launch the site and I'm like, I want to be like Oprah, like you created Dr. Phil and Nate. And like, I want to turn you into a brand. And like, I want you, because he wasn't just a trainer, he went to culinary school. Oh, cool. So he's a chef and a trainer and all into health. And I'm like, you have something to offer to people about telling them how to achieve their fitness goals in a realistic way and food. And so I'm like, why don't you come to LA, be my trainer and my chef, but then also be a contributor to my website. And well, you know, I want to help him build his career as well.
That's awesome. He's your Dr. Phil.
Yes, but
what is his name?
His name's Zach.
His name's Zach.
Yep,
okay.
Zach Feldman.
And so your website, I mean, it looks aesthetically so pleasing. It's really pretty and also just like not overwhelming. Like it's very easy to manage. And so it's basically anything lifestyle oriented.
Travel, health and fitness, food, design, fashion. And we do have like a shopping area on it, but we don't sell anything. It's just like my favorite things that I like. It just links back to whoever's selling it. Oh, you know, so people are always like, oh, what do you recommend for? What do you recommend for that? I don't want to sell anything on my site. Yeah. I built my business on e-commerce and e-commerce is hard. You know, I would just rather recommend my favorite little shops, my favorite things to people. When we first launched, I think the only angry tweet that I kept seeing over and over was people like, Bobby has a $75 candle on his website. Yeah, thanks, but no fucking thanks. And I'm like, okay, you know, let's break this down, bitch. You know what? If you don't want to spend $75 on a candle, that's fine. But you spent $100 out at the bar last night and you don't even remember it. I spent $79 on a candle that is going to last me for months and smells great and it's going to bring me fucking joy. So don't knock my financial choices because you're making the wrong ones.
I love that.
It's all about your priorities in life. If you want to go out, I'm not saying, you spent $100 on drinks last night. No thanks. No. You know, I also have a $12 candle. It's just, you know.
There's options.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, if I'm putting out there, you should start a YouTube channel and just responding to tweets like that. I would watch it religiously.
It's on my list.
I love it.
It's on my list.
Bobby, we've reached the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Before you go, every guest that makes time for us, we give them a personalized fortune cookie.
I thought that was a big chunk of cheddar.
Yeah, no, that's my aesthetic. There. Yeah, that's the one thing that I think makes a room really feel like home. So this is for you. If you want to get your ASMR on, go for it. I have a push-pull relationship with ASMR. No, I don't like it. Now I don't like it. No, be
We hear your love for the Ben & Jerry's Americone Dream flavor, and it is valid. You're an intellectual indeed, sir, in bed.
In bed. There you go. He nailed it. Bobby, where can they find you?
So, of course, my website, bobbyberk.com, and that's BERK. You can find me on the gram, on Twitter, but the easiest place is my website because then that links back to the gram and everything else.
Great. Yeah. And furniture is out?
Furniture will actually be in stores in China and Vietnam and Singapore in the next month.
Amazing.
We actually launched in Asia first.
Cool.
And then it'll be hitting stores here in the States in September, October.
Sweet.
Yeah, my wallpaper is out now. We just launched a new collection with temp paper. All the great wallpaper you see on all the episodes, that's removable, self-adhesive, you can do it yourself. It's all for my partners at Temp Paper.
Really?
Yeah, so temppaperdesigns.com or temppaper.com, I forget. But either way, you can go to my site and find it.
We'll put it all in our links and all our description.
And then my art is out, and that's carried all over the place as well.
Amazing. Thank you again for making time.
My pleasure.
I really love this so much. And, we'll keep fingers crossed and eyes peeled for that memoir eventually. Can't wait.
Actually.
Thank you guys for listening and watching this episode of Not Too Deep. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Too deep, too deep, too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
As the creators of Clean Beauty, Bare Minerals is driven by a philosophy that makeup and skincare should make your skin better, not just better looking. And that's why their best-selling original foundation is made with only 5 ingredients. Guess what? They're all minerals. For Bare Minerals to be clean without compromise means good for skin formulas with proven performance. So upgrade to clean beauty products. Use their foundation finder at bareminerals.com to find your perfect match. And first-time customers will get 15% off when you use the promo code NOT2DEEP. Bare Minerals, the power of good. Not Too Deep is a production of Grace Helbig Incorporated, producer and edited by Melissa D. Montz, writing by Diane Kang, production assistance by Katrina Henning, post-production sound by Chris Henry, and an extra special thanks to Flula for the theme music.